Hello again. What's going on, friends? Today's a good day for a drive. Nice, brisk morning. Let's get into it. Well, as you all know, I've started my driving journey with this first turbocharged vehicle I've ever had, so I don't really know much about maintenance with the turbo. I've been reading up on it. I recently changed my oil, and of course, whenever I change the oil on a new vehicle, I always defer to the last oil brand that I know works, and I go from there. So this took me to Castro 530. Good oil. I use it in the Malibu. I might repost some of my Malibu videos. I'm not sure. But yeah, it quieted down a lot. So when I use it on the Buick here, I got similar results. And we're going to go over those today. Now, before we get on the road, because I mentioned this in one of my previous videos. Clearly, you guys see, this says LSAC G6, GF6, ACEA. The ACEA is a standard test requirement for, I believe, soot in higher performing engines. And on the 530, on the old, I got stuff falling around. In the old 530 Castro, it clearly states ACEE. But on the new bottle of Castro, and I'll show you the front of the bottle too. This is a newer design compared to the old one. So on the back of the bottle, it says API, SN Plus, SN, SM, LSAC, GF6, GM Dexos. There's no mention of ACEA. So what changed? Did it not meet the qualifications, or did they do something to the additive package to where there was no need to test for that because it was baked in? I think it was baked in. I think they did something to the additive package to where it still meets those qualifications, but you don't have to run it past these other guys. You know. It's just automatically understood that because of the standard that they've already qualified for, that it would meet that standard as well. So 530 Castro Edge, did it do what I expected? For the most part, yeah. It's still ticking, but it's a lot lower. That ticking, tapping, tap dancing, it's a lot lower than it was before. So that's improvement. I wish I could get it to go completely away. I've been using fuel additives as well. Right now, I am using Valvoline. That'll be another video. I'll get into that. Right now, let's get on the road. All right. Push the start.
On 290, the inbound side of the Eisenhower now.
Now, I did start it up earlier today, and it idled up almost 2, and it slowly went down after about 10 seconds. So turn the radio off. Hopefully you can hear that. It was worse than that. It was worse than that. So, like I said, I'm using a fuel additive, but that'll be for a different video. So what I've been doing lately is taking an extended morning drive. The shaking in the camera was so bad when I would stop, just almost violent. But now it's been toned down. There's a lot of semi-trucks out today. And the sun is out. I can see. Huh. Okay. Since I do a lot of short distance driving, I like to get out from time to time and just take the long way around. I usually go to the gas station and pick up some snacks for work or get some gas. So today I'm going to go get my snacks, and I am going to take the long way to the gas station. I got one of those reward cards, so the gas station is east of me, and I'm going to go west. Far west. Matter of fact, I'm going so far west, I'm going into the next city. Castro has been around for a long, long time. So has Pennzoil, Quaker State, Mobile One. And from my understanding, at one time, Mobile One was making that pure stuff. They were making the PAO oil, which I thought was kind of cool that, you know, a regular brand name vehicle, oil company would spend that much money doing something like that. You know, that would put them up there with Abzol. But I don't know if they still do that. I've heard they do it for like race car applications, but not for the general public. Well, someplace like Abzol, they got like 3 different types of oil that you can get, and I think all of them are, at least 2 of them are based on PAO solutions, chemical base oil. So that being said, I like Castro. Ever since I tried the Castro GTX some years ago, I really like Castro, so I went back to Castro, especially seeing how this is a Chevy engine, a GM. I shouldn't say Chevy engine because GM makes the same. They make all of these. That truck didn't move over far enough. Tires. I could use some new tires. A whole truck full of tires. Anyway. So, would I use Quaker State again? If I was selling cars, flipping cars, yeah, I'd use it, especially since they have a newer formula. I've tried a quart, but I haven't tried a full gallon oil change because it's not better than Castro, not in my opinion. I like Castro better. I always will like Castro better. Now, seeing how this is a turbocharged vehicle, I honestly feel like it's going to produce more heat. Now, it could be argued that, hey, if you just change your oil more often, you won't run into problems with sludge and oil dilution and all this other stuff. But you know how Americans are. You know, we find something good, we stick with it until it stops working. So, could there be another oil? And the reason why I'm pondering this question, because from my research, they've done a lot to change, to update how oils work. In fact, they've gotten so advanced with it, they're coming out with this zero grade oil. You got 016, 08. I think there's a 012 somewhere in there. I'm not sure. A 020. So when I went to Walmart, I go to Walmart and I'm seeing the oils and I'm looking up and down the oil and like, what? I heard about it, but I just couldn't wrap my head around it. But then I actually saw it. I actually saw a bottle of oil that said 020 and 016. And I felt like, are they trying to phase out the 40 weights and 50 weight oils? Like the tolerance on a lot of these engines, they make it so you have to use a thinner oil. Now, I understand thinner oil, better fuel economy, but is it going to protect the engine? The engine is definitely designed to heat up. There's literally an explosion inside the engine multiple times within a minute. So, you make the engine smaller. It does the same thing the big engine did, but it doesn't produce more power. So then you slap a turbocharger on there to make up the difference. And what? You saying that we can use the same oil? That's like buying a car in Chicago. Then a couple of years later, you move to Texas or Florida. So now you're in a hotter climate. The manufacturer says you can use 530. But the weather, the natural weather is saying something different. You may have to go to a thicker oil. And I say that because you got different weather systems in the United States at the same time. Chicago gets cold in the winter, freezing cold. Texas, not so much. Georgia, Alabama, definitely not at all. It might get a little nippy, but it's not going to be Chicago weather. So, what's up with that? They want us to stick to a certain oil because of the fuel. But what about the overall health of the engine? The wear on the engine, the friction on the engine. Now, I've heard that these newer oils have been made so that the additive package is different. The way they do the additive package for the newer oils, they take certain things out, they increase other things, and calcium seems to be a big thing with additive packages. They're lowering the calcium. I feel like a Trump pun right now. They're lowering the calcium. They're taking away their sodium and leaving you nothing but zinc. Anyway, I had to get that out of my system. But anyway, man, this is a nice drive. Oil. This particular engine takes 530s. Castro makes a good oil, a good 530s, but it's still ticking. I've tried. That person was about to pull out into traffic, and that was going to be an accident. Couldn't have that. And that's another thing. Since I've used the Castro, it's not as sluggish as it used to be. I would take off from a dead stop, or I would try to hit the gas to avoid some, and I'd have this slow reaction time. I still get a slow reaction time, but it's not as bad, and I can feel it kick in quicker. The engine isn't as sluggish. Now, that's not to say that the oil was sluggish. The oil was, when I changed the oil, oh my goodness, it was flowing. It was definitely flowing, coming out. There was no sludge in there. Wet and milky. That was fine. Ooh, this sun. But like I said, I'm concerned. Well, I'm curious to know if they're testing these. They're testing the Ford engines, and they're using the Chrysler engines for the majority of the testing. Then they add. It's like GM was an afterthought. Oh yeah, by the way, we gotta do that damn GM test. Load it back up, change the oil, let's go, let's do it again. Like, what the heck? But Castro was the only oil so far that I've seen where after they do the LSAC and the API, it actually says GM. Then it goes into the other brands. The traffic is kind of moving expediently today. I don't know if you can actually hear how the engine sounds compared to how it was before, but it has gotten a lot quieter. Not completely quiet. And I notice it only does that as it heats up. When it's dead cold, oh, it's loud. But then once the oil starts to flow, then it starts to calm down. I'm paying attention to everything that's going around me right now, so I get these bouts of quietness because I'm watching traffic. And actually, that's how you're supposed to drive. Even if you got somebody else in the vehicle with you, you're supposed to always keep your eyes and ears open for what's going on. But yeah, I like the Castro. It didn't let me down before with the Malibu, and so far with the Buick, it's working out. Like I said, it hasn't stopped the ticking completely, but it has reduced it a lot. So I'm not sure if I should bump it up to a 540 or leave it at 530 and just continue to use a fuel additive. But as I said, that fuel additive I'm using, that's another video. Traffic management company. I've never seen such a thing posted like that. This is a nice truck though. GMC. Come on now. Wow, this person actually put on a turn signal for a whole block. A whole city block. And now they're just not turning. That's crazy. Ah, red light. You can barely hear it. Camera is shaking, but there's vehicles next to me, but for the most part, it's quiet. Even when it takes off, you don't hear that loud ticking and tapping. This Castro is doing its job. Now, long term, 3,000, 5,000 miles, we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. But I just had to let you know the update as to whether or not the Castro was helping or hindering. And it seems to be doing more help than harm. This thing is almost completely quiet. Yeah, I gotta work on that vibration. I'm not quite sure why there's a vibration, but I'm gonna look into that. So, with that being said, sorry for the long video, but I had to get that out of there. I'm gonna continue to use Castro. My next oil change, I'm going to try either the Syntec or the Mobile One. I definitely want to try the Pennzoil. I don't know if I'm gonna go with the Platinum or the Ultra Platinum. Haven't decided it yet. But at any rate, you guys get out, enjoy the weather, and I will talk to you later.